All right, welcome to the Real Talk Tuesdays with myself, Justin Messina, and Rob Shepard. Rob, how you doing tonight, brother?
Doing awesome, man. How's everything going with you?
Things are great over here. So tonight we have a great topic. This is the second part of a three-part money mindset series, and we're gonna start breaking things down this way so that we can follow through on a topic and really break it down into more specifics rather than cover a lot of different broad topics. And so part one, the link to that will be in the description, and that was on understanding the money mindset. And tonight we're going to be going over about how to break the poverty mindset that a lot of us have or have aspects of, right? So it can be very complicated looking into what is exactly is a money mindset and what is your specific money mindset, because it really comes down to a bulk of different life experiences, right? And it's the people you were around when you were younger, the different beliefs that they had that rubbed off on you, who you hang around with now, and sort of your whole experience of, was making money always easy? Were things always available to you, or was it always a struggle? And these are many different things that a lot of it we talked about last week. But tonight, just to get things started, I really want to speak more towards the people who are not going to. If you're watching this, you're probably in a place where you really need to make an improvement, right? And you're not comfortable, or you don't feel like you're good. Like there's improvements to be made. So when you're not currently in a good place, there's certain things that I think are very valuable to get started with. Certain questions to ask yourself, like what specific things happen that kind of trigger different emotions, right? So, around different experiences, do you feel stressed? Do you feel anxiety? Do you feel fear? Is there a sense of do you ever feel like you're punishing yourself for how you act? And are there recurring habits that take place? And these are all important questions, but one of the first things to distinguish, if it is a distinction for you, is what is the difference between your spending habits or expenses in your life on personal business, whatever it is, and then also what is your income like? So it might be something that for any given person, there might be things you want to raise your income, and a lot of times it's simple to get started with looking at your expenses and saying, where am I really giving away money to people? Where am I wasting money? So that'll get us started. We have a lot to go over tonight in a short amount of time, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Rob.
That's a great point. You made an awesome point because as you was talking, I was thinking about growing up, and you hear the analogy that money is not everything. But then as we get older, we realize to ourselves that money is not everything. But if you have it, there's a lot of people that we can bless along the way. And that was like the way I was raised, was to have that poverty money mindset where I felt that don't strive for more within life because money is not everything. Just be average. But as you go along, you realize to yourself that average just doesn't cut it. Being average is just I mean, it may get us by, but maybe not. So we're changing our mindset and have a stronger focus and set up a way that to come out of the whole poverty way of thinking, like a poverty thought process being more of like feels like you're never good enough, you'll never succeed, you'll never get anywhere. This is how it's going to be because that's your surrounding. Sometimes when we look, as you mentioned before, that our surrounding can really just totally devastated to us and just demolished our dreams and our goals and put us in a whole way of thinking more on a poverty side and thinking of striving towards success and striving to do better things within life. So I thought that's a great point you made, Justin.
Yeah, well, thanks, Robin. It's definitely true. Definitely something that I know that we both have gone through different phases of this at different times in our lives, and it's never. I feel like it's a never ending type of journey. You're never done growing in this area. So yeah, so I guess we'll move right along. I
Yes.
do want to go over. I want to go over some things about what it means to really face this head on instead of it's easy to really get comfortable with where we're at in life. And we last week we talked about the difference between, having a consumer mindset and an investor mindset, and how a lot of times that comes down to instant gratification versus being able to put the right plan in place where you can be okay with delayed gratification, right? So with that in mind, I think that just today's world in general is we can get really soft. There's not a lot of people out there really trying to toughen up. There's not a lot of reason to. Things are very comfortable around us. I think even when things go wrong in our lives, a lot of times, this depends on your background, but I feel like more and more people are in a place where, you kind of you can you can really fill the victim role without even trying to do that. We don't want, like most of us, we don't want to play the victim. You know, it's one of those things, like you ask someone if they have if you ask somebody, oh, do you have an issue with something? They'd be like, oh, no, I don't have, that's not me. But, it's one of those things that happens sometimes, right? We feel like the victim, or, we find ourselves like not taking responsibility for something that we really is totally our responsibility. But it's these little bits of awareness that are key when it comes to being able to take on the money issue, right? Like, head on, rather than sort of getting comfortable, which is kind of my next point, is like, we can't get comfortable. We can't just think how we've always thought. We can't act how we always acted in different situations around money, and and then react when a money crisis comes, right? And that's what can happen a lot with the poverty mindset. Is I think that we can sort of get comfortable with where we're at, even if we're paycheck to paycheck, and then all of a sudden, something comes along, a bill that we have to pay, or something that we didn't see, or a minor emergency, and all of a sudden we don't have the funds to pay it, and then it reminds us of all the times when money's always been hard in our lives, and all the past experiences and everything in our minds. So yeah. One more point before I turn it over to you, Rob, is I find a lot of times we can get stuck in fantasy if we have a goal. Obviously, putting a plan in place is so important, but if we have a goal, it needs to be, you hear about visualization, right? And visualization is very tricky because it can work sometimes, but in a lot of instances, it's not really a good practice if we're not doing it right. And if we can visualize an end result, a lot of times what happens is, if that end result is so specific, that specific outcome, a lot of times we can create an attachment to that picture in our minds. And a lot, they tell you, basically, we know, like, we have to be very specific about what we want, or else it's not going to happen. But in the same token, if we're very specific about something, and we want to will every step of the way to make it happen exactly as we see it, we don't allow for, like, God of the universe to really guide us where we're meant to end up. And that's where visualization can fail, because we end up looking for something so specific. But instead of doing that, if we could focus on the result that has multiple pathways to that same result, then our visualization process can work to get out of this kind of issue. And it reminds me of, actually, I have a lot of conversations with people who, are in jobs, and they really, like, hate their jobs, and they're like, oh man, I can't stand being in this job. I need to get out. And a lot of these people might have a plan. A lot don't. But if you're in that place and you have a plan, make sure that it's an exit strategy if that's what you want, because a lot of people are working like a 9 to 5, starting a business, but then they're also saying, I really hate my job, and then if you don't ask yourself what's going to happen if I keep doing what I'm doing, if you don't ask that question, then the answer is probably it's going to be the same exact thing, because there's no exit strategy of, like, what am I doing right now that's going to help me move into a different place in my life, or else it's going to just continuously snowball and snowball, and we end up in the same exact place and even more frustrated with the same exact issues that we've always had. So yeah, that's a lot to digest right there, but we're coming quick tonight. We are trying and hit you with some quick points. And yeah, Rob, I'd love to hear what you have to say, bro.
When you're talking, you're going over the big takeaway that I have from this, which I'll end my point on, And it's that big word, and it start with that V, visualization. I mean, that is the most, when you can visualize things, when you can just focus on it and just put that whole picture, like paint a picture of what you see your life will be today, what you see your life will be tomorrow, and you paint a picture and just visualize what it will be, that's where the desire comes in, and that's where the success starts coming apart. You just have to take the right action, because sometimes we can have that whole focus and we want, like, I was raised in a way of, okay, we're going to win the lottery. When I win the lottery, I'm going to buy you a home. When I win the lottery, I'm going to do this. When I win the lottery, but guess what happens? What if that day never comes for you to win the lottery? That's like you're like throwing out that whole game of just, you're playing Russian roulette. So if I'm going to visualize that I'm going to win the lottery, that's like a million to really hit that jackpot. But if you can visualize your dreams, your goals, visualize what you look to, what your life look like today. Like, what do you, I hate to say bank account, but I hate to say that, but in some sense and a way, it's all revolves back around that whole financial piece. Because if you're visualizing it and you're saying, okay, I visualize seeing so much that's there that I know I can reach out. I can just purchase my mom a brand new vehicle. I can pay my mom's mortgage for her. I remember watching a basketball player just recently. As a matter of fact, no, it wasn't a basketball player, it was a football player. And he promised his mom while he was growing up, and his mom, struggled taking him to all these games and supporting him and being by his side totally, as a single mom. And he told his mom one day, he saw a Escalade pass by, and he said, Mom, one day I'm going to purchase you one of those Escalade. Would you believe that as he first got signed in his football career, the first thing he did was not purchase himself the next Bentley or the next fancy vehicle or this. He went directly and purchased his mom a brand spanking new Escalade and surprised her with it. So that's where, if he never had the finances to do that, he wouldn't be able to do it. So it's not about him. It was about what he could have done to bless his mom that's been there by her side. So when we're focusing on, say, money, it's not about us. It's about what we can do with it. So right then and there, he was raised up within him, knowing that he raised up with poverty, but he knew he had dreams and goals. He knew that one day he will be in the NFL. He knew it. And he just visualized this whole thing about being in the NFL, about playing in the pros, and the visualize that he's going to get his mom a brand new Escalade. And the first thing happened, guess what? He did it. Because he had goals, he had dreams, and he was a young kid. He was no more than about 19 years old to 20 years old. And as soon as he got in. That's what he did, by just staying focused and understanding the whole way of not being in the whole poverty mindset. So that's my point on that. But I just love that whole piece about visualization, because when you visualize, it's such an impactful piece within our life that it comes to presence. Back to you, Justin.
That's a great story and a great point about that, because it is really well noting that money isn't our goal, right? Because that can be really difficult in making this transition from the poverty mindset, is to really think that I really like the focus on money. It's okay to have goals around money, but also you can't have that be your ultimate goal. It's going to be it's going to come secondary. It's not going to just show up. It's going to be, what kind of value are you giving to the world, and whatever you do, like, you have to put yourself forward in a way where a lot of times, like the story Rob just told, like, your heart is going to be in the right place, and you have to, not necessarily your heart needs to be in the right place, but it helps for sure. But it also is like, money is going to come when the right steps are put in place. And it's really a science. And actually, there's this great book on just money. If you're looking to really get some hard hitting, like, fast information, kind of like this hangout that we're doing, there's this great book called The Science of Getting Rich. And really, it's all about just philosophies around how, making money is a science. And a great quote that I'm sort of paraphrasing from that is that money provides a full way to have your creative expression in life, right? So if we don't have money, we can't live a fully expressed life. And that's where a lot of the poverty messages that happen. And sometimes I've heard this in churches that I've gone to, where there's a message being put out there, as in like it's good to be in poverty, or it's good to be able to live a life where you're like, the real message is live a life of giving and giving value to people and being able to contribute to other people's lives. But a lot of times we view poverty as like a good thing, and getting rich is sort of like a evil thing. And it's really not the case at all. Money, if you think about just charity in general, people with a lot of money are the people that can give to charity the most, and they're the people that put on the events that are the charitable events that a lot of people that think poverty is good go to. And it has to be funded, and the research has to be funded for different ailments and things like that. So, it's definitely a huge point where like money really is a way to be fully you know, have your creative self really fully expressed out there. And, without having a good, solid position with money, we can't really, I don't really feel like we can really become ourselves. And that's like, just to hit home with the gravity of this, having a poverty mindset at some level. And it's not really just about having a poverty mindset. It's about how do we get to the like optimal mindset around money. And that's, I think, what we're going to really hit home with next week in the final part of the series. But yeah, that's pretty much, I think we went about 20 minutes tonight, and I think that is really good stuff. Rob, if you have anything to wrap up, and how can people reach you if they're trying to find you, brother?
You can reach me at shepherdfit.info, and it's spelled SHEPHERDFIT.info. Love to connect with you. You can reach me on Facebook, and it's Rob Shepherd 72. All right. So thank you all so much for checking out this hangout, and looking forward to bringing more value to you all.
Awesome, Rob. Thanks for coming, brother. Again, every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we do these hangouts. And my information is right here, Justin Messina, justin-messina.com, on social media at jmslife, and that is the same with my YouTube channel, youtube.com/jmslife, to find more of these hangouts. And I'm going to just close off by mentioning that, sometimes when we're trying to transition out of break this poverty mindset, we want to just will ourselves to do it. We need support. We need the knowledge. We need the strategy. But beyond that, if you are doing all that and you feel like it's not your will that's lacking, if it's something else, a really good place to start a lot of times is to look into the subconscious mind. And you probably, for you guys who know me, you probably saw that coming. But in the subconscious mind, a lot of this money mindset gets really set in stone, and it's like hard wiring in a machine that's going on inside our neurology. And one thing that we can really do is get a coach, or look into hypnotherapy related sciences, where you can actually change beliefs that have been running in your mind around the money mindset. And there's different mental programs, and this is where like hypnosis and like-minded therapies can come in that can really help you. And it depends on how bad you want to invest in yourself, and how important is that in your life right now. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because it's always helpful to just share more avenues for people to seek out that are going to help people. So with that said, we will see you next Tuesday or on different hangout. Again, this is Real Talk Tuesdays, signing off. As we always say, live vision fit. We're out.
We're out.